Okay, we're back. Let's get back to that question that we were starting, and we'll go from there.
Yes. Do you feel that your career and the shootings changed your wife?
Oh yeah, definitely. It put like a whole other level of stress on her that, like, it. It's definitely affected her. And when I say I was oblivious also to secondary trauma, yeah, like I was oblivious to it. She definitely has secondary trauma from all of my stuff. Cause she had to go through it. Like it affects, like, I mean, not only, she worried about me, but then she's worried about everything else that that's going to happen. So, oh yeah, she's got trauma from dispatch, primary, secondary to me. Like it definitely affects the family a lot.
What are some ways that you guys have worked together to kind of overcome a lot of that and try to not let it affect the everyday? Like it's going to always be with y'all, but like how to, keep that connection of husband and wife and everything.
So we try to do things that, like kind of fill both of our tanks up. So like she loves going on car rides and she loves going out and doing things, going to the mountains. So, even though I'm not a big fan of the mountains sometimes, we will go out, and like last weekend, 2 weekends ago, we went for a car ride. And then, at the beginning of, October, we went back home to Nebraska, and I took her to her first ever football game. She had never been to a Nebraska football game there in Lincoln. So like we had a blast with that. So like we have honestly tried to do things, one, to keep the connection going between us.
Absolutely.
But then two, the thing that, like I found out, like I always used to say no to everything. Like everything she wanted to do. Nope, nope, nope. I don't want to do it. I don't want to go. And it's still a struggle for me because she'll say, "Hey, would you like to go do this?" And I'm like, "No." And I'm like, "Hold up. Let me think about this." Like, and like I'll have that internal process going, was it really gonna freaking kill me? Like if I just go do this? No, probably not. Let's go. And then I'm stuck with, well, you didn't want to do it. And I'm like, I know I said I didn't want to, but I realize that you also need these things to like help you feel better. And I'm sorry, like I was an asshole. But we should go do that. And so that's been one of those things that like I have to stop myself sometimes and be like, hold up, like I understand you need this for you. And so let's go do that. And that has been one of those things that's like, I don't know, we don't always have to spend money to go do something. And that's part of my thing is like, I don't know, going on a shopping trip or going to buy something. Like I love to do that because that's, like growing up with my mom and aunt and everybody, it was, well, let's go on a shopping trip. So, doing that stuff was like happy for me. But now yeah, like little small things we do or like experiences. I took her to go see what was like crazy in August. We had 3 weekends in a row where we did like Savannah Bananas
Yes.
up in
I love
Denver.
watching them.
And then the next weekend we were in Colorado Springs because we went to the Billy Currington concert. And then like the weekend right after that, we were back in Colorado Springs because we went to the Chicago concert. I grew up listening to Chicago and I was like, we have to go see Chicago in concert. So like same thing with that Nebraska game. I try to do things where like we get to share experiences with each other. So it's more experience over, like creating memories, cause for the longest time, like we didn't really create memories. We just had shit to deal with.
Yes.
So I try to do better with that as far as creating memories, and that's what we do.
With like your law enforcement experience, is it hard for you to be in large crowds where you may not have, I don't know if you still carry a weapon or not, but is that something that gives you anxiety or anything like that?
It did initially. I'm getting better at that with being in crowds. I think some of it, it has to be like the right time, right place for me. Like going home to Nebraska and like walking around Lincoln, I wasn't even worried about anything. It was more, doing that stuff. Going to the concerts. I pay a little more attention to like areas that we're at. Um, I watch people, and that's one of the things I think people don't understand about like being in this field is I can read people pretty fast. Especially like within a handshake or so, or like talking to somebody, I know whether or not like I would want to hang around this person or like, hey, nice to meet you, have a great day, and kind of keep moving on. Um, so I if something starts to bother me, like she'll pick up on that, or I'll tell her, I'm like, hey, I don't feel comfortable right now. Like, can we go home or can we go someplace else or do something? And she's done really well picking up on that now. So like we try to compromise and do things like that.
I think something that people like civilians don't understand about first responders is they have to be good at reading people, reading situations, reading body language. Like, it is in and being able to listen to what's happening around you. Like, I can pick
Mm-hmm.
up on 15 different conversations around me because that's what my brain is just trained to do. But I think that civilians don't understand that they if you have a first responder, they can read the entire room so quickly to know
Yeah.
like that vibe's off. We're going to be over here. Like, I know where all the exits are. I know where a fire extinguisher, AED, all of that is.
Yep. I'm watching everything.
Yes. Did your wife ever admit that she was worried or wanted you to leave law enforcement after the first shooting or
No,
after the
my
second?
my wife was trying to get me to leave this way before my shootings.
Oh,
Um, she noticed it. I was an asshole. Cause I was like, I'm not gonna take any freaking office job or staring out a window Monday through Friday. Cause like she got to that point in her life where she was like, I want Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, holidays and weekends off. And I was like, you're dumb. I don't want that. Like I was a jerk about it. Cause I was like, I don't think people truly understand like how sucked in you get once you're in it. Um, you're checking work email on vacations. Like, we're in Florida on a family vacation, and I'm checking work emails because I got to keep up with everything that's going on. Because
oh, yeah.
by policy and everything else, I have to, respond to work emails and do all this other stuff.
And sign
Um,
all the 50 new policies they just set up in
yes,
your thing.
yes. Like people don't understand how sucked in you get, and it's like you have to be part of the drama all the time. Like you have to know what's going on, who's banging who's doing what somebody got in trouble for,
Yeah.
or the crazy incidents that somebody was in. And so like I was thoroughly sucked in, and she was starting to realize. And I think one of the things I'll give myself a little bit of credit for, because when she finally realized she was like, she started talking about the Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and her job that she's got now came up. I told her, I was like, you need to apply. Like, I could see it in her that she was burning out.
Mhm.
I mean, she knew it and she recognized it. And thankfully, I felt a little more supportive on telling her she needed to get out of it. Um, and then she had like a cousin too that talked her into making sure she got applied for the job that she's got now. But I was completely oblivious to how like crappy I was in this, and how involved I was. So like she tried years before I ever had my first incident. And then after my first one, I was like, ooh, I should probably start going back to school. And then I had my second one, and then, deep depression and everything else. I still need to finish up my schooling. But yeah, I didn't recognize, or I didn't heed her advice on looking for another job.
Um, and when you were looking like, let's say that the second shooting happened and you didn't retire, what would have been, do you think that there would have been a job that you would have been happy at?
Uh, so I initially was looking at, the city offered me, hey, you've got these positions available, and I didn't want to like go work like at the water treatment facility. I didn't want to work on a road crew. I was like, no, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah.
The city, told me initially, they were like, oh, well, you could do like a year unpaid leave, whatever. And if something comes up kind of in that time frame, then you could apply for that job. And one of the jobs they had was at the department initially. It was doing like an abandoned vehicle clerk, where they go out and they
Yeah.
do the new titles and that stuff. I was like, I could probably do that.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, well, I'll take that one. And they're like, well, somebody's already got that job. And I'm like, well, then why was it on the freaking list?
Yeah, why'd you offer it to me? Like,
Yeah. And then, it got to the point where, I was like, well, I'll take that year of unpaid leave. Oh, well, you can't do that. That's not an option anymore. And I'm like, well, then why the hell tell me that it's an option to begin with? And then finally I was like, when we figured out the pay stuff, and then with my VA stuff, my wife's like, you don't have to go to work if you don't want to go to work. Like, we'll be okay. And I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to take all of 2025 off. I'm not going to work. I'm not going to, I'm going to go do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it.
yes.
And it's helped out a lot because, my wife and I flew out to Tennessee in May. We saw my little niece graduate high school. I went back to Tennessee like 2 or 3 weeks later because my little sister lives out there. And so I helped her move, and my brother-in-law. And then like a couple weeks later, our oldest son, his girlfriend, it's kind of weird because my wife works at the fire department, and I'm not going to jinx it yet, soon to be daughter-in-law, her dad works at the fire department also.
Oh,
And so like, she was, when he moved out to Kentucky, she was like, I'm going to follow him out there. And when we went to Tennessee for like our week and a half trip that we went, I was like, hey, if you watch our dogs, I will move your ass to Kentucky. And she's like, deal. And I was like, cool. So I ended up, end of July, towards the end of July, packed her up, put everything in my car hauler trailer, and moved her out to Kentucky. And it was, oh man, that was kind of an interesting experience. So as a retirement present, I went out and I bought myself a brand new 2025 GMC 2500 diesel, like drop some money on a pickup. And I was like, this is my retirement present to myself. And then, drove that all the way back out to to Kentucky to move our son's girlfriend out there, and had just a good time. So like I just go do whatever I want whenever I want, and that has been like a lifesaver for me, because friends will call me up, hey, what are you doing? Well, I have nothing right now. Like, what do you want to do?
yeah.
And when people are like, well, what's your schedule look like? And I'm like, it's wide open. Like,
Yeah. I'm gonna nap between, I don't know, like
yeah,
7
like,
a.m. to 11,
yeah. And that's like one of the other things. Like, I got online, I talked to a buddy of mine who left the department also. He got medically retired, and he does real estate. And he's like, you like numbers, you like all this. He's like, you should get into the mortgage loan originator. So I went through, I got all the training done. And then had some things pop up, and I haven't taken my official test yet to do that. But like, the issue that I struggle with sometimes is like my attention span is that of a toddler. Like, I can sit down and I can start something, and I'm like, I get like a paragraph in, and I'm like, do I really need to do this right now? Like, I can push this off till later.
Yeah.
And that's been my struggle with some of those things, is like, I know I eventually want to go back and find another job, but I'm going to be selective about what job I take this next time because, I mean, like for my retirement, I can't do anything fire and police because they're, through FPPA here in Colorado. So I won't do anything with that. But I mean, I'll find something boring that just, you know, I'm interested in. And it's not about the money, it's about whatever it is that makes me happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, if I mute myself, it's because Justin's on his way home, but I have a few more questions if you're
Sure,
ready
go
for
for
it.
it.
Okay. Do you think we kind of touched on this, but do you think dispatchers ever get enough credit for the emotional weight that they carry with your wife being a dispatcher?
Oh no, dispatch does not get any of the stuff that they deserve. And like I said, for the longest time, like we were talking about earlier, like what took just in the last 2 years that Colorado finally recognized dispatchers as first responders. And no, dispatchers don't get the credit that they deserve because there is, I mean, we have a lot of stuff on the street trying to do things and interact with people, but at the same time, like, you guys are, you know, doing CPR on the phone with somebody, and at the same time you're doing CPR, you got the, headset, the what people don't understand with the headsets is you got a radio in one ear, a telephone in the other, and you're like talking this person through and doing CPR, and you have some jamoke that comes on the radio and is like, "Hey, can you clear this plate for me?" And you're like trying to type and do all this other stuff at the same time, and people just don't get it. So yeah, no, dispatchers definitely don't get the credit that they deserve.
I think that it's crazy when I even think about it because Justin would come in sometimes and I'd be like in the middle of I-70 Eisenhower's completely shut down. Like there's just chaos happening everywhere. And he's like, I
Yeah.
bought you guys donuts. I was like, get out! Stop talking. You're
Right?
seriously
Or
early.
you think you're talking to your significant other and they're like, "What did you just say?" And they're like, "I'm on the phone." And I'm like, "Oh,
Yes.
okay, my bad."
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Or when you're like you're thinking that you're on the phone, you key up your mic and then you're telling them something. Everyone's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "That was the wrong channel."
Yes,
Uh,
or you've had I think my wife had that happen accidentally one time. She was like I was upstairs, like talking to her, and I think she was talking to somebody else, and it like started out as a running joke because she accidentally said like, "Okay, love you, bye" to somebody like on the phone, and it's like, but yeah, it's crazy the stuff that happens.
that happened one time. I had to wake a trooper up to go work snow duty, and he thought
Ooh,
that he was on the phone with his wife, and he was like, "All right, I'll be there soon. Love you, bye." And I was like, "All right."
yeah, right.
um, what helped you guys, your wife and yourself, to rebuild your connection after all the years of adrenaline and chaos? And we kind of talked about it a little bit, but when we talk about the adrenaline and chaos from law enforcement, from dispatch, from first response, like, do you guys just come home? Like, how are you calm now? What is your calm?
So my wife likes to keep herself busy. That's how she kind of goes through everything. If she's busy, she doesn't have time to think about things that really bother her.
Yes.
And so, there are things that like I've tried to do. My wife is a big board game fan. She loves to play games. So there was one day she came home and there was a miscommunication between both of us and she got mad. And I said, "Well, we couldn't do this, but we're going to sit down and we're going to have dinner and we're going to play a card game." And she's like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're going to sit down and play a card game." And she's like, "Well, why are we doing this?" And I was like, "Well, we didn't get to go do what you wanted to do, but," and that was because of us not talking, like we should have together. "So we're going to sit down, we're going to play a game, and we're going to do this because I know this makes you happy." So, like, we try to do things. One of the things that I also bought, like on Amazon, some of those like card games, like talking points or different things
Oh,
to
yes.
do.
Yes.
Like, I'm like, let's grab the deck of cards and pull out a random card and have a conversation. And some of those cards, holy crap, like there are some deep, in-depth like questions, especially when you get into like those couples packs ones.
Yes.
Of like some of those questions, you know, my wife hates that I grew my hair out. Absolutely hates my hair. She despises it with a passion. And I'm like, I've had like a high and tight for 40 some years, and I'm just kind of doing this to be rebellious. Like, it's comfortable for me, and it's kind of like my little Clark Kent deal, because like some people, like I've ran into coworkers at Walmart or like walked past them, you know, former coworkers, and they have no idea that I am who I am. So I'm like, yes, this works. So like we had a conversation, and I was like, if there was one thing you could change about me, what would you change? And she's like, your fucking hair. I hate it. And I was like, well, I love it. She's like, I know. She's like, you know, so there, I mean, like we've had those conversations. She's like, I really don't want to change you. She's like, I just don't like the long hair. So now she messes with me. She put it on Facebook a couple weeks ago. She asked me some question, and I had the dumbest look on my face when she snapped a picture, and she put my picture beside Forrest Gump when he's like doing the running and he stops and he's like, I'm tired. I'm going to go home now. And she's like, who wore it better? And I was like, damn. Seriously? I mean, right? It, like, I think that's one of the things that, like, I mean, I've known this woman for 28 years.
Yeah.
Oh, there they go.
Yep.
But, she just, there is a lot of things that she does, that we work together and try to figure it out. And if there's sometimes like we get to it where she's like, hey, you know, we need to reset this, like something like, let's start over. And normally when we do that, like we know that's like what's going on.
Yeah. Let's see. Have you ever caught yourself reacting like you were still on duty?
Not as much anymore. Now I'm kind of like, damn, that sucks. I'm glad I don't have to do that. Yeah, that's somebody else's problem. All of their problem, no longer my problem. That for me it really take a little bit. It's kind of like, goes back to that deal of you want to know what's going on, like what happened. And now, you know, like I'll see things and I'll look at my wife and I'm like, I'm so glad I don't have to go do that anymore.
Yeah.
And so that has been like, I don't see myself or haven't really reacted anymore. So yeah, I that's been, I think, a blessing for me, is that I don't get into that mode anymore.
There's a audio on TikTok, and it's like, I'm nosy, but in like, I don't care what you do. I like, you do you, but I just want to know what you're doing, just because like
Yes.
I want to know. Like, and I'm like, yes,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
I don't care. You do you, but like I want to know about it.
Yeah. I want to know what was going on.
Yeah, exactly. Um, would you say that your wife was your anchor through all of it?
She was. Um, I didn't give her enough credit, though, for what she was doing. And part of that was because, you know, like not necessarily blissfully ignorant, I just didn't realize the amount of shit that I had put her through.
Yeah.
And, you know, some of that is from my career choice, the incidents happening, but some of that is also me just being a crappy person and a crappy husband at times. And I honestly didn't realize it until my buddy Billy was dying from cancer. And I'm sitting in San Diego in his house, and, you know, dude's in ungodly amounts of pain. And like, there was a couple times he was a jackass, you know, and I called him on it. I'm like, dude, there's no need to be that way. And his wife, who I also knew because she was in our unit at the on active duty in the Navy, like just watching how she handled it, and like kind of taking it with a grain of salt. Like it just kind of went off her shoulder. She didn't react. You could watch her just kind of like take a breath, think about it, and still loved that dude to the like his dying breath. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, oh my God, like I have been a total jackass for so long. And after that, like my wife and I had some pretty in-depth conversations, and I was like, I am so sorry, like for everything that I've done, because I didn't give you enough credit for believing she was strong enough to deal with everything that I had to deal with. But I was oblivious to she fucking stood beside me through all of it. And I was completely oblivious to it. And so for me, that it was kind of like an aha moment, like it clicked. And ever since then, I have been trying to do everything I can to make it up. I guess as best I can, or, try to, I mean, you can't really get rid of all the bad memories or anything else, but what I can do is try to improve, and not make the same mistakes that I did. 'Cause I don't think if I had my wife through all of this, like through this whole process, like if she would have left me, one, she would have been absolutely justified to do so. But two, I don't think I would have made it if I didn't have her.
Do you think that part of the divorce rate that happens in first response is because we feel like our spouses, like we're trying to protect ourselves while also protecting them, and so not letting that guard down of, I know that some of them are due to drinking or whatever else, but I
Yeah,
could see that of like, especially in law enforcement, you're trying to protect other people, including your spouse. In EMS, you're trying to help other people, including your spouse.
I think some of it, yeah, is protecting them. But I think for those folks, I think some of them, you have that crappy responder mentality, and I'll say cop mentality of, how would you know? Like, you're not one of us.
Yeah.
So you kind of treat them like an outsider, or, in my case, the years of, I'm tired. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to deal with anybody. And then compound it with drinking and all the other dumb stuff that happens. I don't think I mean, yeah, there's books out there, like I think Dr. Gil Martin, like I love a first responder or law enforcement officer. I mean, like, yeah, granted, those have a lot of great advice, but we're crap at putting it into practice.
Yeah.
And we don't put enough emphasis on taking care of our real family, that's there for us day in and day out. Because I had this I don't know if I would say unimaginable. I had this thought that my blue family would be there for me in this. And it kind of like rocked me to the core, because, for years you're telling me we're a family, and then when I need you, I'm not there.
Yep.
And we take all of our frustrations and anger out on the ones that we love the most. And our families take the brunt of it, and it breaks our families. It tears them down. And we would be a poster child, of like everything that you could do wrong in that. And to this day, like, in talking to my wife, I was like, why did you stay? And she's like, well, you're my person. She's like, she's like, she actually broke it down for me the other day, and she's like, you never hit me. We'd have arguments, but you never got physical or anything else. She's like, I've seen worse. And I was like it kind of made me feel like shit for a bit, because I was like, if I'm that bad, like if I'm still that terrible, like, I completely understand if you want a divorce. And she's like, no, she's like, I'm not like that. She's like, but when I looked at it, she's like, our circumstances were terrible,
Mhm.
but it wasn't to that point where she's like, I mean, we lived essentially separate lives in the same house.
Yeah.
Um, and that was really hard, for me to hear, because I'm like, oh, I think I'm doing great. And then I'm like, you kind of get that little bit of truth that hits you, and you're like, damn, how much more failure can I listen to or take? But it's been one of those that, like, actually listening to her and her frustrations have kind of helped, because I'm like, oh, well, I knew about that, but maybe I didn't know. And it's kind of helped us to try to make things better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, let's see. I think that, oh, okay. These are some questions that Justin, when I was saying that I was going
Oh,
to
yeah,
do this
go
with
for it.
you. How can other responders, fire, EMS dispatch, help law enforcement in those situations after the event?
Oh, man. I think honestly, it's just there's that support factor. And I know it's kind of weird because, like, we kind of get rushed out of there once the scene is calm because they've got to get us back and get us out of the situation. But just checking on those folks, especially if it's, guys that you're familiar with,
Mhm.
showing support whatever way that you can. Kind of like, the old terminology of circling the wagons,
Yeah.
to help those folks out, to let them know that they're not alone, that they're not forgotten about. Um, and I think some of that also depends on the relationship that agencies have.
Yes.
Thankfully here, like, when I first started out as a baby cop in Nebraska, we hated the volunteer firefighters. Like, I guess I won't say hated. We just didn't,
Rivalry.
yeah, we didn't get along. All the fucking firefighters come in screwing everything up.
Yeah.
But when I got here to Pueblo, man, the relationship the fire department and the police department have here, and how they complement each other and work together, I love our freaking firefighters. And the
That's
cool thing
amazing.
is now that my wife works at the fire department, like,
Yes.
I go in and I sit down and I BS with them. I mean, she's in the admin office.
Mhm.
But I get a chance to, sit down and talk to those guys. And if they're there and they see me, they stop in and they say hi. Um, but I think one of the other things, though, is, like, nobody really checked on my wife, though, either, as we were going through this stuff.
That's a huge person to check on,
Yeah,
too.
I mean, and, I think she kind of felt abandoned too, because nobody really asked how she was doing either. And I think that's one of the things too with the whole mental health initiative, is that, a critical incident like that happens, like, you need to also talk to spouses
Yeah.
and get the spouses in there and talk to them, and, have individual sessions with them, because if you want to keep a happy workforce and your folks happy, like, you know, if one
Oh,
half of the household isn't happy, it's going to affect the other half of the household.
absolutely. And if
Um,
there's kiddos involved too,
oh
if
yeah,
there's young kids at the house, like they're going to hear about it in school, they're going to hear
right?
about it somewhere.
Yeah, and for me, that was one of the things. Thankfully, both of our boys were, adults and out of the house. Um, but I mean, they really didn't have to worry about it because they weren't here. But it was like, the other thing that kills folks is the social media.
Yeah.
They tell you, shut your social media off, don't look at all that stuff, and I I didn't respond to comments, but I was surfing that stuff, looking at it, going, "Oh, what did this person say?" Well,
Yeah.
fuck,
You want to
yeah,
see?
yeah,
Yeah.
fuck that person. You're retarded. You don't know what the hell
Exactly.
I went through or anything else.
Yeah.
How do you know?
It's easy
Um,
to like cite to quarterback when you were in that situation, when it wasn't
yeah,
your life in danger.
yeah, or they know how we should have handled it and could have handled it better, and I'm like, I've seen you handle your own domestic relationship, and that's why we arrested you and took you to jail.
Yeah.
Um, I I digress, but I mean, it's one of those things that for us to take care of each other, I think there has to be far more of a support. And I think maybe that's some of those things where, agencies maybe get together once a year and, have like a first responder picnic. Like we have one. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to go because it's like all the retirees and active guys. But they have a picnic once a year. But I think we should, try to do something where we get the first responders together and, have a luncheon or something, or rotate between them and kind of have little get-togethers. I mean, I know
Yeah.
there was like sometimes on the weekends, guys would go down to the fire stations and have breakfast with them on the mornings.
Yeah.
And I think that helps build those relationships. I mean, just supporting each other and whatever stuff that we can do. I mean, like if guys were stuck on a fire scene and needed something, hey, you need me to go get you a drink? Do you need something? Like, what can I do to help you out? Like, those little things are big.
They're so big. There are times in dispatch we get voluntold on a 16. We're like, I didn't bring lunch. I didn't bring anything. And that's when those officers will come in, like, what you guys need.
Yeah.
But it's huge. And I'm thankful that we live in a small community, because other communities I've worked in have been larger, where you don't have those relationships, you don't know the people. But it's hard, because those are the people that we all need to trust each other. You
Mm-hmm.
need the dispatch. You want to trust the dispatcher that they're going to make sure that yourself or your significant other is going to be safe. They know where they're at. They know who's on that scene. They know what call they're at. They know the address,
Yep. Yeah.
and
And
it's for all of it.
yeah. And I don't, man, there's a lot of other ways that we could support each other. And, I think the bad thing is sometimes for leaders is we need to, I think leaders sometimes forget where the hell they came from.
Yes.
They forget what it's like to be the new guy, the lowest on the totem pole, the bottom of the barrel seniority that, has to work Thanksgiving, has to work Christmas, has to work New Year's, has to shift those holidays. They forget what it's like to push a patrol car in the middle of the night, or to drive an ambulance, or to, run a pumper, or an engine or a ladder truck. They forget what it's like,
Yeah.
because they're so involved at everything that's up top here. And
The
they forget that
paperwork and the
everything
politics.
down on the bottom is what makes that place turn.
Absolutely.
And so, there's been a couple times, my old agency in Nebraska, whenever like the rare times we would get busy, like the chief would come out and he would handle all the BS calls, like cause we didn't have like a dog catcher. We were the dog catchers, so he's like, put me on that one. I'll go take care of that,
That's
like,
amazing.
so like I think there's those things that, like, it's not like the command staff can't see that like patrol or this company or ladder company is getting their freaking they're getting smashed on a call, and instead of doing something, they show up on the scene, and you know what, hey, you're not the boss. You're here to
Yeah.
freaking help. Come out, help. Be part of your crew that you say you support, and
Yes.
grab a hose and drag it.
Exactly.
Don't
Do
sit there and,
something.
yeah, don't be the boss. Help out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think if we had more leaders that would do that stuff, I think you would see maybe some changes, but we also need to get those leaders to remember what it was like to be that new guy.
Yeah.
One of the things I hated is those, the trainings or the policy stuff. We had like daily training bulletins we had to do every day over policy and procedure. And it's, they're like, well, it only takes 5 minutes. No, it doesn't take 5 minutes. It takes an hour. You bitch at
Yes.
me because I'm in the station trying to complete it and not out taking calls, but you're not going to pay me overtime to do this on my off time. So
Yeah.
I have to do it here at work, but I have to go out of service, because if I don't, I'm going to get kicked out of the training. Trying to drive around and maintain signal in your patrol car to be able to do this. Like, they just forget about that stuff and think like it miraculously happens.
Yeah.
And so,
And
yeah.
It takes forever. Those trainings, like, and they drop all these, and it's like, what even changed? Oh, well, they put a comma instead of a period. Why do I need to go through the entire thing again if all you did was change a sentence? Yeah.
Yeah, if you've only changed something and it's nothing really impactful, why do I have to acknowledge your policy?
Yeah, and you have to sign through it, and then if you do it too quickly, it notices that. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, flags you.
Yeah. So I have a couple more questions.
Sure.
What's one thing that you wish civilians would stop saying about responders or to responders? And what's one thing that you wish that they would say?
Oh, man. There's a few things. One, if you're a parent, stop fucking telling your kids if they don't behave that we're going to take them.
And stop calling 911 for it because I'm not
Yes.
going to send a cop.
Yes. Because I used to tell folks, I got to the point where I would be sarcastic with it. They would be like, if you don't behave, you're going to get taken by them. And I'm like, no, we only take bad parents to jail. I'll take you to go get ice cream.
I love it.
Then you have oh, you just eat donuts. And I'm like, you don't like donuts either? Like, what type of
Who
person
doesn't
are
like
you?
it?
Yeah. Who doesn't like donuts?
Yeah.
Or the people that are, well, if you don't agree with how we're doing something, then apply. I'm too smart to be a cop. Really?
Please do the
'Cause
testing then.
yeah, start doing the testing because I've seen cops that have master's degrees and have no freaking clue what the hell they're doing. And I've seen cops that have GEDs and high school diplomas be absolute rock stars.
Yep.
So I think a lot of people put too much emphasis on, well, you have to be educated to be a cop. Sure, it takes, there's a lot of things that people don't understand. I mean, yeah, most academies are like 600 hours, anywhere from 4 or 5, 6 months. But there is a lot of training and things that go into this that the normal person just doesn't understand.
True.
And, I don't know, sometimes that you always have to hear a thank you from somebody because I don't think you always have to do that. I think sometimes it's just that little bit of appreciation. I'm sorry you had to go through that, or whatever else. But yeah, I don't think there's a lot of trash talking and not enough appreciation for what we actually have to do because we clean
Yes.
up everybody else's messes. And I was talking to kind of a weird analogy, when they started talking about, well, social workers should come out and do all this stuff. Okay. Well, you know who calls the police when someone's in a mental health facility and they're acting out of control? They call the cops.
Yep.
And they bitch when we get there. Well, you shouldn't have handled it that way. Well, then why did you call us to begin with?
What
If
am I
you,
supposed to do?
yeah. And I think sometimes maybe they do it because they don't want to be stern or aggressive or anything else, and they let us be the bad guy on it. But some of those, like I saw one the other day, it was kind of a funny TikTok where this guy was talking about, he's like, I got called to a mental health facility because this guy was going out of control and all he wanted was a hamburger. He wasn't supposed to have a hamburger, allegedly. And the cop went, bought the dude a hamburger, gave it to him, and he was totally happy. People, I don't think sometimes people just slow down and appreciate the amount of stuff that we have to go through because you're like a jack of all trades and a master of none.
Truth.
Because there's so many different hats you have to wear. I mean, you can go from an incident where you may have just come close to almost shooting someone to the next minute you're helping some little kid, make sure they don't get hit by a car as they're trying to get their ball, or, next thing you're doing CPR on somebody's grandma trying to, at a family event. And all the family is around you and you're trying to do everything possible. Like, people don't realize the array of calls that we go through on a daily basis. And, like, it's an emotional roller coaster.
Oh yeah, and the adrenaline dumps. You get an adrenaline spike, and then you dump, and then you have a headache, and then you have to just keep doing that, and it's yeah, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Is there anything that I haven't asked that you would like to share, or any final thoughts or words or?
The only thing I would say is if you think you need a therapist, you probably already do. Uh, like if you've got to that point, I mean, get help immediately. It's not a weakness. It's not, you're not a liability. Uh, kind of like the old terminology, you know, fuck what they say or fuck what they think.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, nobody else is going to be there for you. It's you, your family, and like a small select group of people. So if something is bugging you, reach out and get help. But I also want the rest of us to do a better job of taking care of folks that need it and do those check-ins like we say we're supposed to. But I think we should be better than just a check-in. We should be like, hey man, that call was really tough. Like, this like bothered me about it. And I think having those open and honest conversations amongst ourselves,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, you have to be okay with everything that you do. And if you're at that point, like, I mean, recognize it and get out of it, or get the help and try to get better to go back in it and approach it from a different angle. But yeah, the help thing, treat your family like as best as you possibly can, because at the end of the day, those are the only folks that are truly going to be there for you. And then the other thing that I would say is yes, it's a job. It's also a lifestyle, but like, stop living that lifestyle. I mean, we see guys that, you know, are, I mean, I'm, you know, struggling with depression. I gained a bunch of weight and everything else and trying to lose it again and not eat crappy. Like, this career will take a toll on your whole life.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I mean, there's a reason that cops have type 2 diabetes, you know, because of the crap food we eat all the time and the sodas and the energy drinks and everything else. But we also like we make this life our entire personality. You know, I mean, for a while, I mean, I've never had any of the, you know, the blue line flags or any of that other stuff, but being a cop definitely like was my whole person. And when I didn't have it, like there was kind of an identity crisis, for a while, you know, that people don't understand. It was like, who am I really? You know,
I was the same way as a dispatcher, because then when I retired, I was like,
yeah, like
what do you do?
yeah, like who am I now?
Yeah.
You know, and what a lot of folks don't understand and realize is that those folks that do make it to that, you know, 30-year retirement, I mean, most of those folks are dead within a year of retire. A majority of them don't even collect their first retirement check.
Yeah.
They are gone because, you know, you've gone from 30 years of, you know, peak adrenaline, all this other stuff, and then all of a sudden it's gone and your identity is gone.
Yeah.
And when you I think one of the things people also don't understand is like when you retire, like you're just not there anymore. Like you're not a part of it. And those people, it's kind of like the military. Like when you get out, like you experience loss. Like you don't have the same friend group because you're no longer in it. You see everybody else pass you by
Yep.
and you're just stuck in that spot. So like find other things that define you and who you are, and don't put so much effort into, well, I'm a cop and that's who I am, or I'm a firefighter and that's who I am. The other thing that I would recommend to folks is don't put more effort into this job than you don't have to. Because we, you know, find it that, you know, you put in so much effort, you have guys that work all this overtime and everything else, and you miss everything that flies by. You know, you miss time with your family, you miss your kid's birthday party, you know, you miss all of these things that are supposed to be the most important things in the world to you, and we give it up for a fucking career that shits us out at the end of the day.
You're just a number.
Yeah, you're
You're a
just a
number on the
number.
payroll.
Yeah, you are just a placekeeper. And it's kind of like that old adage of, you know, I mean, you know, the, you know, the moment that you die, your job position's going to go right up the next day because they got to replace you. You're just a
Yep.
number. You're a placeholder on a roster. Just kind of like football. You know, you're either on the team or you're not on the team. And once you can realize that you are just that placeholder, and at the end of the day, you really don't matter to the people or an organization, it's kind of like an awakening almost.
It
Because you're
really is.
like, yeah, you know, I mean, like now, you know, before, oh, not to give away too much, but like before, I would never go anywhere without a firearm. I was always packing. And now I'm like, well, I got one in my truck. You know, I don't necessarily need to pack all the time because, I mean, granted, I understand chance favors the prepared mind and all of the other terminology, but I mean, I'm going to Walmart, you know, if that's the case, you know, I know where I can get them at Walmart. I just got to break a counter, you know,
Yeah.
or I'm going to beat you with a display vacuum or something else. You know, I
Wham!
mean, yeah, just knock them out. Or I'm going to go grab a frying pan.
Yeah. One of those cast irons too.
Oh, yeah, cast iron, just conk them over the head. But, like, I don't know. I've found myself being not too relaxed, but I have found that I am no longer so uptight about everything. And that I think is one of the like jumbled piece of advice that I would give to folks is don't let it be your identity.
Yeah. I think a huge piece of that too is that there are people that you will work with that will become like a second family that will be there for you after everything,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of people that are going to take the organization over you and whatever that looks like. And like you said with the mental health, like we every single responder is putting their brain out there to take all this trauma, and the organization doesn't have that trauma, you do. And so when you start to feel like, even before, if you're like, hey, I can't sleep tonight or I need an extra energy drink, like that's the time that you know you need to be talking to somebody, because your brain's already trying to be like, I don't know where I'm supposed to put that, I can't sleep, so I'm just going to keep replaying it.
Yeah. It I don't know. It is this it's just weird how a career in this changes your entire mentality.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm it's kind of weird, you know, when you look at everything on how it changes yourself and your who you are, and what you believe in. And I think part of the thing for me when I saw, you know, you talk about when you get to that spiraling, you know, depression, what, you know, another, I think we'll talk about it, was suicide. People don't look, or they anybody that looks at somebody that's committed suicide as a coward is an absolute ignorant idiot, because they don't understand what it actually takes to do that and how far gone you are mentally, when you're in that spot. And I was there twice.
Yeah.
And what
And what's
people,
replaying in
yeah,
your
and
head.
what's, yeah. And so when I look at now, you know, they say, there was one time, I think my wife and I, or something, we were talking about a suicide. And I was like, you know, what people don't understand is how far gone, like, what was it that took that person down that?
Yeah.
And I don't look at people as cowards. I want to know what broke them. Like, there's something that happened, something that really, really messed with them. And I think part of it is, like, even for me, you know, this whole deal going down, like, it changed who I was as a person. It challenged all of my core beliefs. And that was just it. Like, I wasn't who I thought I was.
Yeah.
And so now I'm just kind of like living in my new normal, trying to navigate it.
Is it not weird, but is it kind of like a awakening of some kind, like where you get to learn who your new self is? Like you get to be the person that you really feel like you are. Does that make sense? Like, does that
Yeah,
kind of feel empowering to you?
it does to a certain extent. I mean, and I know we kind of talked about it. Maybe I think it was before we started the podcast, but I love THC gummies. That absolutely helps me for like the anxiety. And I only do them in the evening or on the weekends normally. And I don't drive. My wife drives, because I want to be stoned when I see the Lord. Um, after my wife's driving, because God bless her, sometimes she's just oblivious to other things, like driving in
Stop sign?
traffic.
I didn't even see it.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
where
yeah.
was that
Yeah.
at?
Was there a stop sign? But no, I think like I got to that point when I was like, I'm in my 40s. I've never tried any of that stuff before. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to try it. And for me, like the first time I did it, it felt like I had this like invisible weighted blanket on my body. And I was just so relaxed. And I was like, well, Dare Class is a liar because this is amazing. And I think the best way that I can explain it to folks is it's like all of the best feelings of being drunk. Like you feel happy, you got the munchies. Um, but I've never once been sad.
No.
Doing that stuff. I've been relaxed. And then instead of, oh, well, I've got to take all these medications to relax to go to bed, I just cruise off. Like I hit my point and I'm like, it's time to go to bed. And I go to bed and that's it. And I would much rather see first responders doing that than I would having them drink alcohol.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
alcohol is a whole monster. Like watching my mom go down that rabbit hole with alcohol was like she was a mean drunk, and like vindictive. So yeah, I like discovering like who I am, what makes me happy, has been one of those things that it's like a whole new discovery deal. Like I'm learning what it's like to be alive in my 40s and not have to deal with BS, not want BS in my life. And if like you're gonna bring BS, like I don't want it. And I think, well, now that I had that thought pop in my head, that's one of the other things about first responders and the whole family deal that we don't look at. There are some folks that you hang around with that are absolutely shit for you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Encouraging you
like
to
there
drink
are
more,
those,
hitting
yeah,
on your
bad
spouse,
influence.
like, yeah.
Yeah, bad influences and everything else, and we hang out with these folks. Well, they're just misunderstood. No, they're just a shitty human being, and you
Yep.
shouldn't hang out with them.
Yep.
But yeah, it's been a whole process of learning everything over again.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm just having fun with it.
Yeah. I think that's the best part is that you're able to have fun and that you're
Yeah,
here
and
and you're raising
yeah,
awareness.
yeah, and for me, like telling my story, has been kind of one of those things that, like, it's almost therapeutic in itself because you open yourself up, um, to, I guess, folks that have never really been in these shoes. And some of
Yeah.
those folks, you find that that's hard to believe that that would happen. And I'm like, no, it does happen. Like,
It does.
there's plenty of people that have experienced this. I just don't
Yes.
think anybody's ever actually been truly vocal about it until like the last few years.
And I think that social media can be amazing. It can be amazing for raising awareness. It can be amazing for so many things, but it also can have those dangerous side effects where, kids are being exploited, all those things. But I think that one of the best parts of social media is that people are able to share their stories and tell the truth about the careers that so many people idolize. As a kid, everyone
Yep.
wants to be a cop or a fireman or something. And it's never talked about like, oh, this is going to be very hard. You're going to see someone's worst day every single
Mm-hmm.
day that you go to work. You that's just a constant repeat. And I think that that needs to be spoken about more, because I think that I don't want to, tell people not to be in those careers and stuff. But when I went into dispatch, every time I was in dispatch, everyone was happy. They had good
Mm-hmm.
snacks. It was cold and it was dark in there. Who wouldn't want to go hang out there all day? Like, yeah.
Right.
No
I
one ever.
think I think we still need folks to do it. I think the only thing that we need to do is we need to recognize what we actually go through and be able to talk about it, recognize it, and not look at it as a weakness.
Exactly.
Because that's what a person's experiencing doesn't mean that they're weak. It just means something about it is bothering them. And we need to talk about it, work through it, and build them back up. And I think
Absolutely.
that's where we always fail and fall short is we don't take care of them and we don't coach them back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We went over a lot today. Is there,
Yeah.
do you
No,
think there's anything that we,
I think we got everything,
I do
honestly.
too. And
Yeah.
thank you for letting me, help share your story. It's been an honor to listen to it and
No,
hear it all.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, of course.